100 lifetimes passed. A dwarven kingdom was ruled by a cult of corrupt elders known as the Diadem. They lorded over the valley between two mountain ranges called the Upper and Lower Riles. This wound in the soil became known by the people as the Crag. Insulted by death, the Diadem toyed with magic of the soul and cursed themselves and their nation into eternal unlife. Incited by the gods' inaction, an archfey of winter rose to end the blight and covered the crag and its horde in an eternal sheet of ice. Centuries later, new life has found its way to this frozen wasteland. The humans first, carving holes in the ice river Tormag and fishing its depths. The halflings felt the new and powerful natural magics and settled in the hills. The dragonkin and orcs fled their persecutions and waged war in the frozen wastes. Finally, the gnomes found silver in the Upper Isles and began trade between all the races of the crag with coins shaped like a beating heart. For this reason, all those who share that eternal winter have become known as the Crag-hearted. There we go. All right, everyone. I think we are live and ready to go. Thank you all for joining us. Again, my name is Apelles. I am DM Cheshirecat, and we are about to jump into the next episode of the Crag. I'm very excited. I loved the first game. It was great. I loved how the characters were coming together, and I am excited to see how the next one pans out. Again, quick shout out to everybody who's helped out. I have all the links or names to the people who did the token art, as well as some of the stream overlay art in the description. So please patronize them. They actually did really good for us, so we do appreciate that. Nevertheless, we are about to get started here. I will do a quick recap once we dive in here, but first off, we're just going to do introductions again. We're going to just go down the line. Everybody, we're going to do something a little bit different this time. I'm going to ask you for just your name. If there's anything you want to promote or say or anything that's coming up in your life, you can go ahead and mention that. But then I also want you to say one thing about the Crag that you think would be most difficult about living there. Like one thing that you think that would stand out as something that's just terrible about living in the Crag. And we will start this off by heading over to Trevor.
Sorry guys, I rolled a 1 on my mute button. I'm Trevor. I am playing Hog in this campaign. I think the hardest thing about living in the Crag would be finding food. Because as I'm living in quarantine, I have, I hope this isn't a trigger for anyone, but I've been finding it very hard to get people to bring me food because I'm locked in my room. So getting food is something we take for granted.
Definitely, I can see that. Yeah, getting food is a thing. Next, we're actually going to go over to, I'm going to jump around this time. We'll head to Kyle.
Good afternoon. My name is Kyle. I'm Braum for the campaign. As far as what I think would be most difficult, also kind of going off this whole quarantine thing, is what seems to be the large amount of isolation that the people in the Crag deal with. They're in, sure, small communities at times, but we've also ran into several individuals who are just spread about by themselves. And after personally being locked in my apartment for the duration of the quarantine so far, being a little bit of what people would call an extrovert, it's awful. So that would suck.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, that's a big one. We're going to hop over to, let's do Raymond next.
All right, afternoon, everybody. I'm Raymond. I am playing Milo in this campaign. I would definitely say the size and hardiness of the majority of the creatures in the Crag, with Milo being a halfling, he's not bred for this type of territory naturally. So most things that are in the cold weather environments are rather large creatures by design so that they're able to survive. So if it's dealing with overly sized things that could possibly step on me without them knowing I exist.
Well, yeah, there's no way you all are going to run into one of those anytime soon. Next, let's head over to Joe.
Yeah, so I'm Joe. I'm playing Vaga, and probably to say something different, probably just how cold it is all the time, and how like it's going to be windy. It's like desolate wasteland, just cold and snow and ice constantly. It doesn't seem like there's summer here, so it's just an onslaught of cold and unpleasantness.
Yeah. In the Crag, summer just means you can fall through the ice. That's about it. Summer is dangerous time in the Crag. So, yeah, it gets
Spring
cold.
break?
It's cold all the time. It's terrible. But without further ado, because I'm just excited to get into it, and I love playing this game so much, and you all are here, and I just want to dive into it. Basically, what we're going to do, I'm just going to go into the recap of what has happened, and then we are going to just pick it back up. We'll head on over to the scene where we left off, and just pick it up from there and see what you all decide to do. Let's kick it on over. Let's start here. There we go. And that is where we left off. So let's go ahead and move on over to where we left off. There we are.
Getting PTSD flashbacks from the scene.
Oh, yeah, it was a tough fight. But you all made it through. It's fine. You all are fine. This is... it could be worse. And it might get worse. We'll find out. But let's go ahead and dive in. I'm very excited about it. I also drank a bunch of coffee before this, so forgive me if I'm talking too fast. But I am ready to go. Is everybody else ready to go? Give me a thumbs up. Sweet. I think Joe gave me a thumbs up. That's fine. We're going to start anyway.
I didn't see Raymond's thumbs up.
Oh, no. Well, that's because he's... Fine. Very well. Here, let's kick this bad boy off. Whew. In the small town of Almanac, our stories begin to weave together like they so often do. Braum and Hog arrived to the town looking for answers. Braum stoically monitored Hog as Hog investigated the recent activity in this small, endless town. The town mayor recently received a visit from what had been known as the Reckoning, and Hog mused that this may be connected to the Order of the Undead, a secretive organization that seems to be more active as of late. After receiving several hard rejections from the dragonkin, a halfling ranger directed them to a healer on the outskirts of town who may have the answers they seek. Vaga, a local physician, met them and, after preparing for the upcoming storm, told them that this reckoning, he assured them, would not have anything to do with the undead, but instead may be able to help Braum and Hog uncover the secrets of ancient dwarven runes. Meanwhile, Milo, our halfling friend, awoke from a terrible nightmare of the sky being torn asunder and fouled by a skulled demon who breathed undeath upon an old dwarven village. Upon awakening, he found Vaga had arrived with guests, both welcome and not welcome. A troop of dragonkin had followed our adventurers through the waste and attempted to ambush the party. Fending them off best they could, the conflict concluded with a wave of neon light, and the party gathers to interrogate the one sole remaining survivor. Really quick, I'm not sure who is going to be keeping track of inventory for you all, but I won't be. The loot that you have managed to gather from these people who have departed are the following. There are 7 spears. There is also amongst all of them, about 200 Crag hearts. Most of them held by the guy who's in the skins, who you all had seen before. And there was also a small parcel, it looked like, of some sort of magical components that the guy who was wearing the skins was holding. But a lot of it, you probably would have to investigate to try to find out more about what it is for. But it is there for your inspection. But amongst that, that's all you all were able to find, and you are able to act as you desire.
Quick question. Can I also try to at least drag some of those skins off of his body for my personal tent cut, maybe to cut down for later use for my own form?
You notice the skins as you investigate, because I don't think you were there when they first met this dragonkin. As you begin to pull his coat off of him, you notice that the coat is actually made of orc skin. So it's orcish, is what he is adorned with. You can take it if you would like.
Actually, realizing that it's orcish, and if I'm not mistaken, Hog is orc, correct? Or the half orc?
Yeah, Hog is obviously half orc.
Half orc, okay. So I'll stop in realization of that this could be his kin, and I'll just kind of glance up at Hog and be like, so I was gonna keep the coat, but you want to take a look at this just in case?
I will not wear it. I will not look at it. I will not dishonor my kid. And he's tired and beaten up after the last battle. He's just sitting down. He looks up, sees the skin, and looks away. And that's all he says.
No disrespect. No disrespect. I apologize. I just turn around. I'll leave the coat where it is then.
Okay.
So, did anyone get left? I mean, I know we had the one guy unconscious. So is there anybody that we can question about this?
Currently, there's just the one guy. He is the only one that's left alive right now is that one unconscious guy.
Do we know how long it's gonna be before he wakes up?
You can do a medicine check if you want.
Sure. Could you roll me a medicine check?
Yeah, I got you.
Can I take a look at the magical components when you get a second, fellas?
Sure. Give me an Arcana check for that. Sweet. As far as... So yeah, let's go down the line then. For the medicine check, you feel like he took some a pretty hard blow to the head from a blunt object. He's going to be out for a little bit, probably about a half hour, which can give you some time to straighten up. But you also feel like you may be able to wake him if you wanted to, really. With that Arcana check, you kind of walk over and you peer into the bag, you pull it open, and there's a lot of bones inside, bones of small rodents, as well as a couple of sacks that look like the bladders of other creatures. And as you start looking through, the one thing that catches your eye probably most particularly is an item that looks as though it is a burnt stone that's charred with a couple different runes on it. And you would recognize this as a one-time use message spell. It is something that is used to make contact with its partner somewhere else.
And being burnt, does that mean it's used already?
Yes, you would know that. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we wish to interrogate him here or not, but there will be scavengers at some point for these bodies. Perhaps should relocate.
It does seem that we are in the middle of we're in the middle of like a circle, right? A circle of trees.
Yeah.
As we approach, the description was last week, but
Yes, it looks like a circle of, like a small grove that has popped up here.
It does stand out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I was just wondering real quick, being that I know this is my grove, is there anything about it that would decompose, or like an area where we can drop bodies?
On the contrary, this grove is like a little bastion of natural life. You're pretty sure that if these bodies remain here, they will attract predators. You've not had to dispose of bodies here yet, Milo. Because a lot of your work was more nuisance, less murdery. So you've not had to deal with that, but you are pretty confident that if nothing is done with him, it will attract wild animals.
Now with 100% more murder. Hog sort of gets up, like really takes a lot of effort to kind of push himself to his knees, but he gets up and he looks over at Milo and he says, "This is your home?"
Yeah. I kind of look around. It's home. Right. I know we barely introduced me and Milo's out. I appreciate the help with the waiting around the nuisance here.
Tog bows his head, grunts. It would seem that we're on the same side. So, I have many questions for anyone who wants them. To start, and he looks over at Vaga. Just to be clear, is it Vaga or Vega? Is there a
Vaga.
Vaga, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Looks over and says, Vaga, we've come a long way. I've come a longer way. And I must know about anything you know about the ancient Dorman runes. Do you know anyone who can read them?
That is who we came here to find. And now that we have saved him from this ambush, perhaps he will help.
My eyes sort of drift over to Milo. Milo. And I look around and say to Vaga, because I seem to trust Vaga. You can be trusted.
I trust him enough.
Well, you did save my life. So. And he goes over to Milo and sort of silently unwraps the sheepskin parcel on his. He takes it off his back and sort of kneels down to the snow and carefully unwraps it and reveals inside an old sort of like. Correct me if I'm wrong in the details, but like a metal axe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's described with
Yeah, I'm gonna stop in this moment a second. As he pulls off this sheepskin, Milo, you see an ancient item. It is pristine in a way, in that it doesn't seem as though it is worn by time or age. It looks as though it is rustless, yet the style and accompaniment and runes around it are unlike anything you've seen in any of your travels. It is blocky in that there is a large cube on the top of a large metal handle, and the cube has off the sides of it 2 sharp axe blades that extend out, and that rectangular motif continues down the handle of the blade, and it ends in another cube on the tip. The entirety of it is metal, and it is heavy and does not seem to even be functionally practical about how much metal is in this thing. The handle is not wooden, it's not another material to make it easier to swing. It is all one piece of solid metal. Up and down it are these different runes that are in an ancient language that are also blocked, and in some parts it looks like giant, in other parts it looks like ancient halfling, as well as another language that you assume may be dwarvish, but you have never seen before. And this item itself, because just this much metal in one place is astounding. And also you would notice that it is not bronze. It seems to be something else. The only kind of metal all of you have probably seen is bronze, the kind of material that Braum's shield is made of. But this seems something else entirely. It has a silverish sheen to it, and it is... it gives off an air of ill omen. And that's what he lays before you.
My eyes kind of buck open really wild, and I just kind of drop to my knees and kind of start running my hands over it. Is there anything I can make out?
Are you sure it's wise to touch it?
There's only one way to figure it out. There's only one way I know to figure it out.
I don't mean to doubt you, sir, but this thing puts me at unease.
Quick question for the DM. With my feet, do I have to physically touch to read anything?
No.
Okay. Is there anything that I can read off of it without touching it? Because his words would have made me pause for a second before placing my hand on it.
Okay. You would notice that the base handle seems to have words that say open. And then all down the handle from the bottom all the way up to the cube that is on the top holding the blades together. It does seem to be a written story. It is a poem of some kind. And I can either read it to you, or I can send you what is on there and you can read it out loud.
Hey, fellas.
Yes.
Just kind of to the side here. If anything happens, I'm going to ready action knock out the first person that starts acting out of character to what I've seen.
Sure. You see Braum kind of, at the sight of this item, Braum kind of tightens his shield a little bit and walks over and kind of leans over everyone as they begin to look forward.
Before we go in, I want to stop and look over at Vaga real quick.
Okay.
And say, How about we handle the bodies first, and maybe take this back to your place? I think we might be a little more secure there.
That is wise, my friend.
And Hog sort of wraps the thing back up and heaves it back up on his shoulders. Struggles to get to his feet and nods and grunts. So we get to go.
Everyone, please give me a perception check. Sorry, Milo, you rolled a 1. Milo is kind of just enraptured with the idea of this thing. However, both Braum and Vaga, you hear it coming from the south, and it is a soft sound, but the sound of a heavy creature moving slowly. As you
Question.
look, yes.
Quick question. Would Izzy have known?
I can. Well, I don't think I have Izzy's token here. Hold on. Oh, actually, yes, I do. Hold on. Let's do, because Izzy has 1 hit point right now too. Give me just a second. Do you know what Izzy's modifiers are?
Give me 1 second. What'd you need?
Wisdom.
Wiz is +1.
Okay. Yep. Izzy does not notice. Izzy is too busy bleeding right now. She took quite a hit, but she's still up, and she kind of flutters over to you and curls up around you a little bit. This small white impish looking dragon that just kind of curls up on your shoulder a little bit in pain. I'm gonna say you've moved over here, and as this happens, you hear from the south a creature walking, and both of you look down, both Vaga and Braum. You see a large shape lumbering through the snow and the wind. It is roughly 6 feet tall, and it seems to be walking on all fours towards this group. As it begins to get closer, you start to see there are green patches of moss and maybe leaves of some kind on this creature. But as it is walking through the storm and the wind, you recognize it as an Arctic polar bear.
I guess I don't notice this yet.
Yeah, no.
But
so DM, you said that we recognize it as an Arctic polar bear. Do I recognize it something else?
Yes, you would.
Okay. I'm going to take my sickle, sort of put my mace away, and take that I had kind of stowed under my rags, and I start carving into one of the dragonkin, and like start cooking it on over the campfire. Like,
what do you carve?
do that.
What part do you carve out?
I'll say I'm gonna carve out its liver.
Sure.
And I start heating it up. And I look over to Braum. We shall have nothing to fear from this one. But let us make a treat for it all the same.
And now I think at this point everybody sees it. It's this large greenish furred polar bear that walks into the middle of y'all's little camp right now. And as it begins to get closer, Milo, you would see this polar bear, and so would
Hog.
Yeah. All of you all see it now that it has approached. And it looks like at first Vaga was a little bit caught, and then after he recognized it, he calmed down and began carving up one of these creatures.
So I assume I know who this is?
Yeah, you know who this is.
Vaga, this is safe. You don't seem to be reacting.
This is who introduced me to Milo.
Then I look at the polar bear and bow my head.
Milo realizes, kind of hops up his little, halfling self. All he's excited to see his friend. He pops up, kind of runs over and grabs, tries to tackle the polar bear's leg out from under him, failing miserably. But he just, this is his thing. He just tries to tackle the leg.
Yeah, he doesn't move at all. And as you grab in, you see that he is, you're relaxed, but you feel the muscles inside of this massive arm tense. This creature is on edge, and he is looking intently at both Braum and Hog.
I bow my head and raise my arms. I don't see if this thing seems to speak common, so I'm not saying anything yet.
No, it's okay. Calm down. There's no need to worry. They're with us. Vaga brought them.
And this creature will sit up on its hind legs, and when it does, it is roughly 11 to 12 feet tall. And it looks at all of you, and Milo, I think you're the only one who understands him. But Milo, you hear this creature saying, "They have spilled blood on the grove."
That was kind of my fault. My last little encounter kind of didn't go so well, and they tracked me down. I'm sorry. Blame me, not them.
And the rest of you hear just this creature growling. And he looks and he says, "To you, Milo, some will come, drawn by blood. Time is short. Do as Meighsor commands."
I just kind of bow and say, as Meighsor commands.
And it will land back on all fours and walk over towards Vaga and look at the liver.
My friend, you must be tired after your travels here.
And just in one bite, the liver is gone. And he looks at the bodies, and then he looks back at you, and then he will look at Milo. "Waste not, want not." And he will walk over to one of the Dragonborn and could begin eating him.
I noticed this, and I'm hoping that it's not the one who's unconscious.
Not yet, but you don't see that he has really noticed. He's going through.
Great being. We. It comes like talking to a bear. We have put aside one of these dragonkin, who still lives, because we seek to gain more information from him. Please leave him to us. I have no idea if this thing understands me.
Exactly. And he looks at Milo and just kind of shrugs.
Bear shrug.
I in turn re-explain what he tried to say to Mort.
And Mort looks at you.
What is Milo's? Is he when he speaks bear? Is he like grunting, growling, or is he speaking as normal?
It's a little of both. It does not feel as though he's talking in common when he speaks to this creature. But you can see that there is a definite tone of reverence. There's a little bit of camaraderie there, and there was a lot more at the beginning, and it feels like there's that kind of camaraderie has come back now. But for a little bit there was a very definite tone of reverence between the two, but it's kind of lightened up a little bit.
Okay.
And he looks back at Milo and says, "Take what you want now and leave. I will protect the grove as you are gone, but you will need to return. I will hold off as long as I can."
How long do I have? And is there any more news? Any more direction from Meighsor?
He lifts his nose up and kind of sniffs the air a bit. Time is irrelevant. When they have done what needs to be done, they will come. And the red mist will return.
All right, Mort, quit with the extra. Who's the next target?
And he will say, hold on, I need to pull up exactly that now. Just a second.
While he's doing that, can I just tie the guy that we have unconscious and just throw him over his shoulder?
Certainly. You definitely can.
Yeah, I'm gonna help him in that too. I was looking at that guy.
Yeah, he's still unconscious. He doesn't look like it. But he says, but Mort kind of looks at you and he says, "The forlorn, the forgotten, and the fooled." And he looks around at the rest of the people there. They will take you where you need to go.
I kind of glance over my shoulder, looking at Braum and Hog and Vaga. I scratch Izzy under her chin, and I kind of start laughing towards "Well, girl, looks like we got some more traveling companions. You're gonna have to start playing nice again."
She hisses and begins to lick one of her wounds.
Loving hiss.
I start to drag some of the bodies closer to the polar bear as the rest are preparing to leave.
Sure. So in a little bit, you all are able to gather up the bodies in a nice, yummy pile for Mort. And the rest of you all, as he begins to eat, you throw this dragonborn back over your shoulder and you begin heading back to Vaga's, I presume? Okay.
Yeah.
As you all begin your journey, please give me one more perception check.
That's a nat 20, right?
Sweet.
That's what green means, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And then...
Guys, really fast, as far as the supplies go, did you just want to split them evenly between the group? Maybe 50 Crag hearts.
Trevor says, hell yeah. I think Hog would be so out of it he wouldn't notice. So it's up to you.
Milo was definitely watching, and yes.
Yeah, I know at the end of the last game, Milo was the one saying, let's loot him. So he definitely would have noticed. But you all begin to make your way back towards there, and as you start heading toward Vaga's, you hear the howling of wolves. Vaga, you know that wolves are not common west of the river Tormog, but they do exist, they are around, and you're pretty sure the smell of blood has begun to draw them. But you all make your way away from the grove and head towards your home. We return to Vaga's dwelling. It is a small hut, not very fancy. It looks like it's made and currently reinforced a bit with some of the some extra boards that you all had set up last time, and still atop it there is that burning light, that ever-flowing flame that draws people here when they need help or when they need healing. And as you
Visibly,
arrive,
is that like a fire, or is it more like a beacon, or it's just a flame?
Vaga, go ahead and describe it.
Yeah. So it is like, think of it just like a sort of like a brazier, constantly going. But there's like a sort of like there's like a lid to it that is currently like up and out.
Okay.
That is, it's sort of like up, and you've seen like there's a lever that can clearly like put it down, but it won't snuff out the flame really. So it's just sort of like it's like a big brazier.
And so, as we return, I will say, at this point, you all are inside. It is safe. You all are welcome to take a short rest before we begin, or if you want to do anything else, you can. I just want to let you all know that short rests are an option before you all decide to bed down for the night. You may just want to rest a little bit, because you never know what's going to happen between now and the night in the Crag, but it is quite late as well. You all can decide to take a short rest, decide what you want to do, or you can take a long rest and do it in the morning, whichever you prefer. Or you can do neither, and we can just go forward.
I guess a quick clarification. For short rests, you can roll one hit die, or...
You can roll as many as you would like, but you don't get them back until you complete a long rest, and a long rest only gives you half back.
Okay, I'm going to roll 2 hit dice.
Okay. And you get hit points equals 1 hit dice plus your constitution modifier. You see if that's good, and then you roll another plus your constitution modifier.
Cool. Until you've I'm assuming this will be automatic and roll 20. I'm going to click it now.
Sure, give it a shot.
That's 1.
Okay.
Then I'll click it one more time. Okay, so I'll add that to my hit points.
Cool. Is anyone else doing short rest?
When
I'm fine.
When we get inside, I sort of point over into like a sort of empty-ish section of my yurt.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure he is bound well. Put him over there. When we ask him questions, do not make too big a mess. I sometimes have visitors, and I do not wish for them to notice.
if one of you all is taking a short rest at least, I think everybody taking a short rest? Is that what we're gonna do first? Okay.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So, Milo, you get your spell slots back. Vaga, you do not. Correct. Okay. But everyone else, if you need to roll hit dice to heal up, you're more than welcome to use some to heal up. And now
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Regarding Izzy, because I know she doesn't have that. Would actually have to recast, Find Familiar for her to heal.
No, she can take a short rest.
Oh, she can?
Has hit die. Yep.
Okay. All right, then I will do that for her.
Okay.
While we're doing that.
Give me one. Well, she has 3 hit dice. Her hit die is a D4. So.
D4.
You can roll 1d4 plus her Constitution modifier. It'll up to 3 times. But keep track of how many she's used.
Okay, her con modifier is +1, just so you know.
Okay.
So I will let you know once I'm actually home now. So once I get all that set up,
I'm just gonna roll for you 1d4 plus 1.
Okay.
How many do you want to try to? Well, let's see how many she heals with the first one first.
Yeah.
Let's see. Come on. Okay, she healed 5 from 1. So she's back up at 6 right now.
And I'll do mine as well.
That's fine.
Okay. So you all heal up a bit. You take some time. Vaga, I assume that you do give them some of that fish.
Yes.
Awesome. So Vaga does feed you all, so you're not starving there, and make sure that everything is all right. And you all take some rest, take some well-needed healing. You bandage some of your wounds, and around this time, you begin to see that young dragonborn stirring.
So a little bit before that, as I was cooking, I wanted Hog. Were you sleeping, or did you seem like you didn't want to be disturbed?
I mean, I was resting as much as I could. The hike back at such low health, at poor health was exhausting. So I just needed to sit down and bandage my wounds. Yeah. But I'm assuming when this guy starts to stir, I mean, that's like been my main concern other than my own health is watching to see if this guy's up. So yeah. I'll grunt at everyone and motion with my head over to the prisoner. He awakens.
I think, Joe, before he wakes up, you want to do something, though, yeah?